Starfield is a $70 joke. At the time of writing this, I have 143 hours in the game. The last 100 have just been filled with realization, disappointment, and bitterness towards the game. To compare, I have 238 hours on Oblivion, 1,194 in Skyrim, 308 on Fallout 4, and 100 on New Vegas. The difference is I enjoyed every minute in the other games. And these hours don't include other platforms like PS3 for Oblivion. Oh man, I spent thousands of hours probably as a kid. I'm the average player. I have an average gaming laptop. I'm in college. I have little time to play. So a game like this just is absolutely disappointing. Other reviews have the time to dissect Starfield, finding its redeeming qualities, and for some reason defend the game. But from the perspective of an everyday player, this game is the biggest letdown I've ever seen. To put it into perspective, I would rather play Cyberpunk on release date other than this. Why? Cyberpunk, with all its problems, did one thing right. The story impacted you. It made you feel every emotion the characters felt, what every character felt, you feel. There's like a transmission of of empathy. Jackie's death, damn. His funeral, goddamn. You know, his and you could easily miss the funeral. You get like this little tiny there's no fear of the player not finding something, which is a novel idea in a lot of games. A lot of games are scared to give you consequences for not paying attention to little details. Uh, each character you interacted with left you uh, left an impression on you in Cyberpunk. Even if you speak to them for a brief moment, you are able to glint, a piece of their history just from the way they acted. I'm thinking of right now, during River Ward's love interest, his storyline. I'm not thinking of him specifically. I'm thinking of a random ass internal affairs detective you briefly meet and interact with. I remember the conversation. You find out he has a daughter, and like everything he does is, you can tell he's thinking how it would affect his family, if it's worth the risk to be a crook, if his daughter would have a better life, if he's going to get caught, if the risk is worth it. You can feel that transmitted, and such a small character left an impression on me. Right now, it's November 1st, 2023. I've been playing the game since the you know normie release date, not the early access shit. And when I think back to the characters in Starfield, I come up empty. Interactions are hollow. Any meaningful thing that you do with them is just written with a buggy script. I tried taking Sarah, I think her name is, the leader of Constellation, uh, to her, like, go see her dead friend's memorial site, and it broke the game. I at the same time as doing that, uh, I think the funeral for the Constellation member who died, um, is was going on, and she was like bugged. She had to be there, but she also had to walk there, so she just stood in place. And I was lucky that when I fast traveled to Mast, she would pop up there, but she wouldn't move. So I was able to push her, because even if I rolled back a save, still gets bugged when I get to that point. Restarting the game did nothing. It was just a baked bug. So I got lucky that I was able to push her. That small problem just broke the game. Which, I mean, it's Bethesda, you deal with it, right? But that add on to the hollowness of every NPC is just disappointing. In the beginning of the game, your boss is a companion that that Asian chick who was your boss in Argos. All I remember is her husband died, and yeah, that's it. I know nothing about her motivations, nothing. And she's a companion, a companion. That dude who's also there, and he can be your companion from Argos. He likes rocks, and yet he throws them away when you tell him you need inventory space. You can tell him like, I hope that rock collection doesn't weigh me down, and he's like, no problem, and throws them away, even though they were like a piece of who he is as a person, which is just such an oversight, like so stupid. Ryujin, all I remember from that is like Emojin, and I know nothing about her. All I know is she was set up, maybe. She could have been involved in the whole like point of the story, but I have nothing to decide, nothing to base my decision on whether I believe her or not. You're just kind of like given the choice, like believe her or not. But you know nothing about her. Like, what are her motivations? You don't know what kind of person she is. If you think like morally, which way she would go, if she'd be capable of backstabbing Raijin, nothing. I have nothing to go on. I just have to make a choice based on nothing. And to compare, Delphine. I know everything I need to know about her as a character. Why she hates the Greybeards, why she wants Parthenax dead, why she hates the Thalmor. And I bet you, I didn't say what game she's from. And if you've played that game, I guarantee you know exactly who and what I'm talking about. The characters in Starfield are just lackluster, hollow, and lazily made. All right. Actual gameplay. Uh, Many have correctly pointed out the most boring intro Bethesda has ever made is Starfield. You grab a really boring fucking laser, you dig some rocks, you touch a weird one, and that's it. I had more fun designing my character, which is disappointing. All I have to say is disappointing about everything. You know, it's not a good start, and the reason I hate it even more is because I know exactly how that intro could have been made infinitely more interesting. Every element needed to do so was already there. The pirates attacking, main storyline introduction, everything was there, but it sucked ass. How could it have been infinitely better? Uh, we have Barrett arrive as he did to greet you right after character creation. Okay. And you enter the site where he tells you why he absolutely needs the rock. He tells you like a little bit of what he's doing there, why he commissioned Argos. And then during that explanation where you're like, okay, so this rock is important, boom, pirates have infiltrated the mining facility. Barrett knows that they were after him and he knows why now. He knows. And he gives you a gun and you fight your way through the pirates to where the mining site is for the weird rock, the artifact. You fight alongside the mining crew, so there's a little bit of camaraderie. Uh, you fight with the mining crew, you fight with Barrett and the robot, and you arrive at the artifact after a bloody battle. And the remaining miners, along with Barrett and the robot, hold the line. They're like yelling at you, "Get to the artifact!" And they're holding the line against like an overwhelming amount of pirates. And as you rush to go grab it, there's no time. All you have time to do is like grab it and try to rip it out of the rock. You pass out and you have a vision and you have no clue what's going to happen. Every element for a good intro was there. It, which intro is more exciting to you, the vanilla Starfield one, or the one I just came up with right now? The intro sets the tone for the game. If I could add one more thing to the Starfield intro, it'd be to reveal the Starborn right away. Like after You grab the artifact and you wake up, that settles. And then Barrett is like, now you know how important this rock is, and I need you to go with Vasco and take it to these guys because the pirates are still coming, right? I need you to go break through the line of the pirates while we hold and try to survive, but you need to get out of here, right? That so after this, the Starborn are in space waiting for you. They followed Barrett because they knew he was going to retrieve the artifact, but now pirates are invading, so you are the one who runs into the Starborn. And now there's an even bigger reason to collect the artifacts. Someone else wants them, and they're assholes. That's enough for me to be invested. Instead, they just like randomly show up over Neon after the first time it happened, I wasn't able to fast travel, and I thought the game was broken. And I couldn't figure out I had to go to the ship and uh, actually like lift off without menus because I was so already used to like having to use a menu for everything, and I thought the game was broken. But no, they were just like they wanted you to run into the Starborn there. In New Vegas, you were shot in the fucking head. Okay, that's what I mean by there's uh, the one I came up with is more than enough. The Starborn showing up right in the beginning, that's more than enough. Your shot in the head is enough in New Vegas. You know, in Fallout 4, they get a little nuttier. Your baby's stolen from your partner after they execute her. The shot ringing through your skull. Skyrim, a fucking dragon, a black dragon, comes down, burns an entire town, incinerating everybody. If you come back, everyone's just ash and black carcass. Okay? At the same time, flaming rocks are falling from the heavens, trying to fuck you up. Okay? And in Starfield, you grab some rocks, and the pirates attack after, and no one really cares. There's a SSNN news broadcast, and your boss, she's like, yeah, everybody's dead. Uh, at least that's how it feels because she's such a hollow character. I have no clue how she would feel if I knew like she's a one of those bitch bosses who's like the ends justify the means. Uh, the lowest budget with the maximum profits, if she was that kind of person, okay, she wouldn't give a shit about pirates invading. It's just another day in the job. If she's a passionate about like the crew is our family while we're working, then she'd be devastated. But no, all I know is her husband's dead. That's all I gleaned from talking to her. This theme of boring that Starfield starts with, it infects every other storyline. I'm no longer interested in anything that happens. The most interesting storyline, the Crimson Fleet, to me, is is still boring. It's I thought it was well thought out, like the story of it, but the characters you meet, they're hollow. The only character who's sort of interesting is Delgado. You learn about them through reading files. You don't learn anything from talking to them. The files are military biographies that are supposed to tell an operative what they need to know to do their job. But there's more to people than a fucking file. That's not enough for me to get invested into the people. When I talk to him for the first time, I want to know, I want to be impacted. I don't even remember how I met him right now. I'm thinking, and I don't remember. He was just sort of interesting. Everyone else is just meaningless. Neva disappears, so my guess is uh, it's a DLC they're planning, which circles back to the or later I'm going to talk about Starfield is just a framework. They started things and now they want to shove DLCs down our throat. I can foresee about ooh, over the next 10 years it's gonna end with 20 DLCs that like fill this shell game, and once those are released, that'll be a complete game. This is not a complete game. So Neva disappears. DLC, Neva returns with her sept of Crimson Fleet, and they're different than the original Crimson Fleet because she's the leader and they're more savage. I can see that coming, and she's gonna come after you, or she's going to attack the Crimson Fleet if you side with them. You know what I mean? She's gonna be like, uh, I've never even I can't be bothered. I don't know what happens when you side with the Crimson Fleet. Uh, yeah, I don't know. So I can't speak to what happens if you side with them. But I know the DLC is gonna have Neva coming back, you know? Okay. And the people you backstab or help out, like those captains, nothing meaningful happens afterwards. They're just kind of there, or they're imprisoned, you know? You get to talk to them in the prison, uh, and it's just so lackluster. One guy ambushes you, I guess. He like ambushes you when you if you backstab him. Uh, the faction as a whole is like elementary school gang. You know, when you were a kid in elementary school, you and your friends would be like, "That's right, we're part of a gang. We're cool." That's what the Crimson Fleet is. Every like character there is like, I'm mean and badass because I'm in a gang, you know? Why? Why did you join the Crimson Fleet? Who were you before? What was your fucking upbringing? Just did you just tell me something? What pushed you to the Crimson Fleet? To compare in the Dark Brotherhood, you kill people creatively, you know, and the people there are twisted and fucked up. They have like they're evil in the head. That's why they're in Dark Brotherhood. And yet there's an intriguing, like, you feel sad when that leader dies because she betrayed you, but it was for the good of the Brotherhood. Uh, and then the Dark Brother, the Thieves Guild, you have a code but steal. You know, you're like, especially Oblivion Thieves Guild. That was a great storyline. The Institute, nothing gets in the way of your objectives. You know, you guys are like cold-blooded scientists. Railroad, you are like mentally challenged people. Just kidding. You're just like, that's like a whole other thing. But it's interesting. And you kill who wants to kill the synths. In the Brotherhood of Steel, you're the protectors of humanity. You know, you collect tech because humanity isn't where, or it's too unpredictable to be in the hands of the average Joe. And then the Crimson Fleet, we're a gang that wears red and gold. So we're cool. That's what they are. During the story, there isn't a hard choice you have to make. I can finish it without ever being a bad guy. You know, I'm a pirate and pirates do horrible shit. Uh, but there isn't a point where I feel conflicted about what I'm about to do. In Fallout 4, you you could end up moments before you press the big red button to nuke the Institute. You might hesitate because, and now that I think about it, the Crimson Fleet story is exactly like the Railroad and the Institute. You infiltrate the Institute, but you get deeply invested in the people there. Your son is there, and then you feel conflicted. Should I help the Railroad? Should I continue helping them? Or should I side with the Institute? In the Crimson Fleet, there's nothing to lose. You feel no attachment to the people there. Uh, there isn't a reason for you to decide to go against everything you stand for and be a part of the Crimson Fleet. Like, if you're like role playing this really good guy who believes in justice, you have no qualms killing everybody in the Crimson Fleet because they don't give you a reason to hesitate. There's no attachments formed. The only reason you wouldn't side with them or would side with them is if you're role playing a bad guy. There's nothing to question you. Like, should you really be doing this? No, there's no reason to hesitate. In the Institute, your dying son's final wish is for you to lead the Institute. And you're like, uh-oh, I was about to kill you in a hellfire. Well, shit. Now I have to decide what I want to do. I have to judge, like, what am I losing here? What would this say about my character as a person? You know, his son is in his deathbed, and you are about to press a red button to blow his ass up. That's fucked up, right? So I'm not gonna go into other Starfield factions because it all just shakes out the same way. My favorite faction, the Crimson Fleet storyline, I critique it this much. That's not a good sign. That's enough, you know. That's enough to say to go off for the other factions. It's all the same. All right, so I started off with the smaller issues, which is horrible because I've been talking for 21 minutes, and those were the smaller issues. Okay, it's I want to talk about the biggest issue is the world creation, the lore. Bethesda followed in No Man's Sky's footsteps and fell into the same ditch. Huge map, boring ass shit filling it, and thank God we don't have. You have to mine fuel for your gun, your mining thing, to mine for fuel for your ship, and then oh, you can't launch because your launch thruster or whatever it was called needs fuel, so you go to mine that. That's a whole No Man's Sky meme. They just streamlined it in Starfield because you don't use the ship for anything meaningful, really. Instead of taking the best things from No Man's Sky, they took the worst things. Procedural generation for the entire planet, boring exploration, way too big. And the best things about No Man's Sky, like actually useful ship, nowhere to be seen in Starfield. I have to use menus to orbit a planet, land on a planet, and change solar systems. And I noticed something that is so frustrating. In your ship in No Man's Sky, you can see the solar system in a little panel on your dashboard of the ship, so you can see what way you're facing, right? So you don't have to be going, uh, doing 360s trying to find the planet so you don't have to go into a menu to land. Because when you're in orbit on a planet, you can land, right? I, I want a little bit of immersion. So, but then I end up doing like a fucking 360 10 times in different orientations to try and be able to see the planet. In No Man's Sky, they have a little dashboard that shows you where the planets are and which way you're facing according to them. All right, that was a little tangent, but I mean, it's all menus. Uh, at least Outer Worlds, the game made by Obsidian, they didn't try to give the illusion of a usable ship. You know, you enter the ship and then you enter a menu to fast travel. Great. There's no illusion of you know, flying upwards and then you enter a menu. It's just a waste of time. Why put that extra step? And it's because Obsidian is, competent and not disillusioned like Bethesda, who thinks they whatever they do, people just eat it up and think it's great. Everything they do is just wrong now. Who wants to see 1,000 planets when 990 of them, literally, I think there's about 10 planets that have some kind of curation. The rest are procedurally generated and use the same exact assets or point of interest. You see the if you've seen the handful of different points of interest, you've literally seen them all. Oh, and the quests of at like those random outposts, those are just radiant quests. They uh, I am reminded of Skyrim College of Winterhold book collecting for that one orc. He's like, go to this cave, grab the book, and bring it back. That's exactly what these ones are in Starfield. I don't want to do the same exact quest over and over again. Don't try to say the game is filled with quests, uh, and say because there's all these radiant quests. There's also a handful of them, and they all are the exact same thing. It's just pointless. It's bloatware. Okay, bloatware, all of it, from 40 gigabytes Fallout 4, I think, to 120 Starfield. What the fuck? Okay, I don't I don't need a 120 gigabyte game filled with just bloatware. That's all it is. I saw a video defending the exploration. They took a bounty quest, and during that quest, they ran into an outpost that had a radiant quest, and they did it, and they said they had fun doing that. Is exploration boring? No, because look what I was able to do just by randomly taking a bounty quest. Okay, sure, sure. The first time, maybe the second time, but that's it. Multiply it by 990 planets worth, and you have a waste of storage. And I get it. Bethesda wanted to try something, a game with 1,000 planets, but uh, why? No Man's Sky pretty much beat you to the punch. We don't need this proof of concept anymore. This game, it's not a real game. It's a shell. It's a framework that I was talking about earlier, and I can see it now. The next few years, we're gonna see a bunch of DLCs that fill the empty space of this incomplete game. A framework is not a $70 game. Okay, this live service bullshit is just it ruined this game. This is this is what Starfield should have been. 10 solar systems, okay, or even just one per faction, each with planets that are curated. And by faction, I mean a government, the governing body. So two, essentially, or like uh, I don't know. I think 10 would have been a good amount. But there could have been this, like, because the lore wise, it's three solar systems per faction, right? So it could have been that. It could have been 6 and 6, and then I don't know. The snake guys are a DLC for sure. And this is what I mean. Uh, it's a framework. They built this huge thing that they want to pump full of $20 extended extensions. And it's so frustrating when the base game is so empty. Okay, so what Starfield should have been is 10 solar systems, or three per faction if they want to stick with that. And these this small amount of solar systems is curated. Curated planets, it's a mix. Curated planets, maybe like one or two per solar system, perfectly curated, interesting. And then you can have the rest be procedurally generated. A healthy mix. If I want to just walk around and visit reused assets, go grinding, I can go to the procedurally generated ones for the novelty. And if I actually want to experience a carefully crafted story, I can. Win win. And people who are saying like it wouldn't make sense lore wise, uh, they could have done anything. This is brand new IP, okay? Intellectual property. They could have done anything they wanted. They could have even fit this into the Fallout universe. And I understand why they didn't, but they could have. They could have been like, as the nukes were falling, the grav drive was used, or some, I don't know, something like that. But they decided not to. They wanted a separate universe, and that's okay. That there's no problems with that. But then they made this Starfield. Shit. Okay, so uh in, instead of traveling to 10 different solar systems for weird rocks, right? You travel to 10 different planets, okay? And instead of temples, the artifacts give you power. Or the temples could still be in it, but it's at the same place as the artifact. I think Bethesda realized how empty the game was, and they were like, That's a little too empty. And tried to spread out the main quest. And it is so, oh, it pisses me off so much. The game should have been somewhere between 5 to 10 solar systems large, and they could still, they wouldn't have had to waste time making 1,000 planets or solar systems work. They wouldn't have to waste time making that work with a 20-year-old engine. They would have had more time in story and world development. There would have been time to make things actually fun, like ships, allowing you to fly into a planet's atmosphere instead of using a menu, fly on the planet's surface instead of just fast traveling on the planet, flying between planets instead of using a menu or like a cutscene. You could just actually fly there. Things like mechs could have been in the game instead of being, cut out through weird fucking lore. Bethesda could have still had its DLCs, if you want to make more money from the game, which obviously they do. A new DLC, new solar system, carefully curated, a good storyline for it. Okay, is there going to be a DLC with 100 new solar systems? No, it's going to be one of the 1,000 planets already in the game. They're gonna dump some like the DLC onto that planet. Why? Because this is a framework, and it only requires slight tweaking lore-wise to make it an infinitely better game. Constellation doesn't explore solar systems; it explores planets. I mean, we haven't explored Earth, and we've had what? We've explored the ground, but we haven't explored underwater. And we're still busy trying to figure out how to get to Mars. Okay, you don't need 1,000 solar systems to make a game uh feel mysterious. You could have done that with uh, 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 the tiniest fraction of the size of the game. Okay, so slight tweaking. Constellation explores planets, not solar systems, like they say. Like we explore solar systems, we touch down on a planet and then leave right away because there's 1,000 more. We don't have time. Okay, the factions don't have to be restricted to 3 solar systems, because you don't want people to. It's like such a band-aid piece of lore. Because I know everybody thought it. Why is there one major city per faction and then these shitty little towns, right? Oh, it's because after the colony war, they decided only 3 solar systems per. Fuck off, fuck off. They're just, you could have said like the reason, even in the game the way it is now, you could have just said uh the the factions are recovering from the wars, and that's why they aren't very spread out. But instead, they come up with this stupid shit. Okay, the snake worshippers, they could be DLC in a new solar system that requires a grav drive that they develop themselves. And you find a derelict ship that drifted all the way from wherever the fuck they were to you guys, and you find it. Uh, and on the ship is the coordinates to their home planet. Something like that. Or like a modification to a grav drive. I don't know, something. A beacon thing that connects to where they grav jump to. I, Space is empty, it's vast and empty. If you think it wouldn't work lore wise to have a smaller uh, game, just look up the how far the closest solar system to us in reality is. Okay, a grab drive can be just as useful and amazing lore-wise for solar system hopping at like the nearest to us. In fact, they in the game they grab jump to Jupiter first, and that was amazing to them, right? So you don't need lore-wise for there to be 1,000 planets to make sense why the grab drive is so amazing. The If the wow factor for the grab drive for you is that it can go 30 light years away, then you probably think the moon is a couple miles from us, from Earth. Okay, it's not, by the way. Look, I'm the average player, right? I don't watch E3 game announcements or whatever, and I found out about Starfield a week before release, uh, because of the whole Microsoft buying Bethesda thing, and it for whatever reason that popped up, and I found out about Starfield, and I didn't know anything about what it would be like. And while I was playing it for the first time I opened the star map, uh, and I saw how big it was, I instantly knew I wasted $70. I knew every single system on that star map was empty. Uh, and I knew as soon as I finished every actual quest that is like they had a storyboard for it instead of just Radiant. Uh, as soon as all those were finished, I'd be bored, right? And here I am, New Game Plus finished, and I am angry enough to make this. I was angry enough to spend time out of my day to write up a script to go through to make a video. I have the stupid DLC access. I paid that for that, so I will install the game again when that releases and then uninstall it. And keep in mind, I played 1,000 plus hours of Skyrim and Oblivion. Replayability is not a problem for me. I could play the same game over and over again if it's good enough. Metro series played that a bunch of times, but this game, no, I can't do it. I looked up reviews that said, "Don't worry, there's a lot of content." Whoever made those reviews, assholes. Okay, the side content was just like an afterthought. I think they made enough. They tried to make just enough so we wouldn't complain how empty the game is, but no, it wasn't enough. Okay, so at the end of the day, I think there is nothing, absolutely nothing redeeming about the game. Absolutely nothing redeeming. I I'm looking at how long I've been talking now, and I dread the fact that I'm going to try to fill all this time with, you know, gameplay. I'm dreading it because I don't want to play the game anymore, and I'm so angry. I'm so not angry, but just sad, considering Bethesda made some of the best games for me when I was a kid, and now I'm playing this as an adult in college, wasting my time. Now I have like this concept of, if I do this, I hope it's not a waste of time now. When I was a kid, it could have sucked and I would be having a blast, but now I'm like, fuck you for wasting my time on this shit, this framework. So yeah, absolutely nothing redeeming about the game. And I hope if one person watches this video and sees how angry I am and decides not to buy the game, I'm glad. And this video is already good enough because it'll be one more uh in the probably hundreds to thousands of videos that will be released over the years of how bad this game is. Just drive the point that little bit more to Bethesda that they are failing as a content as a content creator for people to enjoy and love, because that's the point of games, to enjoy and love it.